What was once the dairy capital of India has now become the surrogacy capital of the world. Each year, hundreds of infertile Westerners flock to the Akanksha Infertility Clinic in Anand, Gujarat to outsource their pregnancies. Couples from as far as Japan, Canada, and America can now rent an Indian woman's womb for 5 times less than what it would cost back home. Indian surrogates are medically implanted with the foreigner's embryos, which they carry under contract until delevery. Dr. Nayna Patal started the clinic 5 years ago and currently has more than 50 active surrogates who churn out around 3 babies each month. Through Dr. Patel's work, India's surrogacy market has doubled in the past 3 years and is now estimated at $445 million. What some consider economic opportunity, others see as exploitation in a country that offers few legal rights for surrogates. For Dr. Patel, however, the growing practice is nothing short of a modern-day miracle.
There are 2 basic instincts in life, One is to survive, and the other strong instinct in life is to reproduce. It's very difficult to say which is stronger, to survive or to reproduce. Because there comes a stage in a woman's life, in a man's life, where they can let go of their life, but they want a child of their own. And this is what brings most of my patients to me to help them with surrogacy.
So let's start with the basics. Talk to me about your clinic, what you do here, how long you've been around, and ultimately what this miracle is that we're now speaking very ephemerally of.
Well, I started my practice as an OBGY in 1991, my private practice, and then I was into infertility. I started my IVF practice, in vitro fertilization, in 1998-99, and I started my surrogacy only in 2004, just a couple of cases, and after 2005 I started it more aggressively, I would say. And there was a reason behind that, because initially I wasn't doing surrogacy at all, though I was doing a lot of IVF. And then there was this case of grandmother surrogacy, an Indian couple in the UK who needed surrogacy, and it was not possible in the UK, expensive, they could not find one. So they came over to India and they asked me for help. I said, I don't have any surrogates. This was in 2003 January. You find your own surrogate, come to me, otherwise forget it. And finally they could not find anyone, and we had to convince her mother to do surrogacy for her daughter. And that was the first surrogacy within the family which I did. And when I saw the end result, I thought it was really working very well for that infertile couple and even for the surrogate, because in this case also the mother was extremely happy to having helped her daughter.
This was a British mother.
The couple was Indian, living in the UK.
Indian living in the UK, born in India.
Born in India.
Living in the UK. They came back here to India to get this treatment.
And yes, they could not find a surrogate in India. And that's why that girl's mother, who happens to live in Anand, became a surrogate for her daughter. And after that I started the first commercial or paid surrogacy in 2003 December, 2004 January. After that I started all my cases.
How do you find your surrogates? They had such a hard time finding one surrogate, yet now, from what I understand, you have more than 50.
50 pregnant, but there are more than 350 surrogates listed.
How do you find them?
About 20% we have to refuse on medical grounds. 20% would back out after they would listen to the whole process, because we have to do the medical counseling, psychological counseling and emotional counseling. We have to see that they are capable to be a surrogate, and 20, or I would say 10% at least would back out after they hear the whole procedure. And the remaining 70, still we have a list of almost 350 surrogates, women who have approached us to become surrogates.
See, as an outsider looking at that, and I think about perceptions of India, especially women in India, There are a lot of superstitions. There's a big spiritual element to daily living in India. And I just wonder, you talked about emotional support and how you offer that to surrogates. What type of conversation, philosophical conversations, are you having with the woman, the potential surrogates, about faith and about some of that emotion?
Yes, what happens in India, especially this part of India, it is, I would not say a conservative state of India, what people look at. The people are quite broad-minded. They are exposed to the Western world because lots of Indians from this part live abroad, like the UK and the US. And at the same time, they are kind-hearted people in this part of India, generous and kind-hearted. They can relate to the suffering of an infertile couple. In India, you know, infertility is a stigma, it's a taboo. Any person suffering from infertility passes through a hell, you know. They've got a lot of peer pressure from the family, society, and they say that their life is just a hell. They are totally frustrated, devastated, financially, emotionally, they are drained. So any person would sympathize with the infertile couple. So these surrogates, when they hear the story, they initially get attracted by this money part or whatever, but when they hear the story, the suffering of the infertile couple, they would readily want to do this. So when we start counseling the surrogate regarding the emotional and the spiritual aspect, we tell them first the whole procedure, how it is to be done, because they don't even know what is IVF. So we explain that. And then we tell them that, look, you are going to carry this baby for 9 months, and they will go through the whole process, what is to be done medically. Then they'll carry the child, what are the risks even physically and medically they face. Then the emotional part, that you have to give this baby away to their parents, to the parents of the baby. You will have no right over the baby. Okay. And at the same time, you do not have any duty towards the baby also. So this type of counseling we give them, not the lady herself, the husband and any family member who is staying with them, is going to support them, will come over and take the counseling.
See, but what's happening there is you're presenting the surrogates as an independent operator, as somebody who's making a purchase or making a decision. Now, many in the Western world who maybe have a different perspective of your clinic will see it as exploitation, or that, you know, that these women are not necessarily being paid enough, or they're being taken advantage of. But how would you respond to that?
I have got everything on black and white. Look, after so many interviews and after so many deliveries and so many surrogates, I can weigh the pros and cons of it, you know, of being pointed a finger at me, people pointing finger at me. But at the same time, the joy and happiness I see around me, I can just put it aside and I can keep going. I know what it means to a surrogate, the compensation that she gets, what it means to her life, what life they were living before, and now how it has changed their lives.
Tell me a little bit about that so that people understand this isn't just somebody who gets a paycheck and a lollipop or something and goes on her way. She's applying this to a broader plan.
You know, they might be earning some $50 a month, and if here they get some $7,500 US in 9 months, it's more than a pay for 20 years of her lifetime.
So is this sort of allowing women to wear the pants in the house? Like now all these surrogate women are empowered and they can say to their husbands, look, I'm calling the shots. This is what we're doing now.
I don't think so. That's Indian culture, you know.
Okay.
It's not Indian culture. Even if you stayed me, I would say that if I'm earning so much, if I want to spend something, I always take my husband's permission. I'm sure he's not going to say no to me. But I think Indian culture is quite different that way. Even if the woman is, there is nothing wrong in empowering a woman. Okay? The husband should take pride in it and support the woman, I would say, when she gets empowered, not only in surrogacy, in any aspect of life, for any reason. But here she is bringing up her whole family. She's not going to spend that $6,000 or $7,000 on her luxuries, on her fashions, on her clothes, or on her holidays. No, then I would not entertain them. But here they are living a life of misery, you know, every day. I had one surrogate who said that I have 3 children, doctor. My husband is a drunkard. Whatever he earns during the day, 50 rupees, he spends on his drinking. I work as a housemaid. I work in 3 different houses and I earn about 1200 rupees, 40 US dollars a month. I pay a rent of 500 rupees. By the end of the month, I don't have anything to feed my children. So in the night, I give them a glass of water. She showed me a stick she used to keep with her. And if the children don't get satisfied, very small children, if they keep asking for food, I will tell a story. Even then, if they ask for food, I have kept the stick to beat them so that they'll cry, they'll get tired and go to sleep, and I'll look at the sky and keep asking God that why me. That surrogate did surrogacy for a Asian Canadian couple, and she has got a house. She's so proud. She says, I've got the tiles like Dr. You have in my house. And now the 3 children, because we run a trust over here, are getting the school bags and school books, everything from my trust. And she is earning about 1500. Her husband has stopped drinking and they are living a normal life.
And that is something that I'm sure everyone listening, their hearts will be touched. You talked about the pros and the cons, and that you've done this stuff forever, these interviews, and you've pretty much chopped up every aspect. So tell me in your own words, a few of the challenges of something this controversial.
Challenges, I would say, is that there are people from the ethical society who believe that if a couple doesn't have a child, God has meant them not to have it and they should not go this far to do it. That way, if I see that there are so many things God has given us, supposing a patient suffering from cancer, God has given him. Why should he go for n number of treatment, keep the family, use a lot of money after it, torture his body with anti-cancerous drugs? He should accept that cancer and die. But no, we give him anti-cancerous treatment so that his life becomes, at least he's not suffering and he lives a good life, whatever he lives for 2 years, 3 years. He will not have that pain, he will not have that suffering if he's given the radiotherapy or the anti-cancerous drugs, okay? To smoothen his life, to give him a better life. We know the end result, but still we do for him. Here is a young couple, the lady who is born without a uterus. It's not her fault. It's God's gift to her. And for her to make her life comfortable, to make her suffering less, if she wants a child of her own, from her own genes, and if there is another lady who is ready to help her do the same thing, okay, to have a baby, why should it be a problem for anyone?
You bring this up and you talk about the mutual understanding between surrogates and the couples. But there are a lot of countries, legally speaking, that don't agree with you now. You look at places like Japan, where it's illegal to accept commercial money gain for surrogacy. You look at Canada, where it's not legal currently. You look at different states in the United States, where it's not legally available, an option. And many couples, of course, are coming to India because their very countries have outlawed it. So why then would these countries outlaw something like this if you in particular say that it's such a positive thing and can be so life-changing for people?
I can argue and say that now the laws are changing. For example, Spain, France, they all are making positive changes towards this whole procedure. And if you ask me, it's not India. Maybe the highest number of surrogacy is being done in the US. Whatever the laws are, whatever the legalities are, you know that number of cases done in US are pretty high, and that too they cater to the European society and people from Japan. But there was no question of exploitation because it's a rich country. As soon as you come to a poor country, you say that it's exploitation. It's very transformative, I would say. I would not agree to this.